They said, Melania Trump may have come into our country illegally, and how would that be for Donald Trump to be talking? Here's the only problem. She came in totally legally. I mean, so that's what they're saying. All right, but you'll see it in a little while. I said to her, no, let it simmer for a little while. Let them go wild, let it simmer, and then let's have a little news conference.
All right, let's simmer. In a normal presidential election cycle, the political committees set dates for their debates well in advance, at least a year. They look at the dates available, the sites they'll be using. They seek to make it as easy as possible for everybody. No stress, no muss, no fuss, just mark it down and be there. At least that's how it used to be, until Donald Trump came along and decided nothing would be done without his approval. Thus, we have an interesting aspect to this year's meeting of the minds, the time when every candidate knows they cannot win without getting in front of the voters and pushing their agendas, while at the same time seeking to make the opponents look as dumb as possible. We have Donald Trump, the true wild card, the individual who insists every decision and every aspect of every gathering go through him, or he will threaten to not show up, something that has worked in past months for this Republican nominee. But he may have gone too far this time, citing reasons that don't exist, letters of protest that were never sent, and a Democratic challenger who is chomping at the veritable bit to get him on stage and dig into his policies. History has never before seen anything of this magnitude, which means we dip into the history books. And welcome back the presidential historian and New York Times bestselling author of Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan, Craig Shirley. All right, Craig, Donald Trump throws it out this time about the debates. I will absolutely do 3 debates. I want to debate very badly, but I have to see the conditions. Craig, honestly, have you ever seen anything like this in presidential history where there was this kind of hedging about something as simple as debates?
Well, not to this degree, Ed. Of course, in modern times, the first presidential debates were between John Kennedy and Richard Nixon. If they had 4 famous debates. There was no debate in '64 because Barry Goldwater was running, 30 points behind Lyndon Johnson, and though he made a plea for Johnson to debate him, it fell on deaf ears. Of course, there was no debate in '68 and '72. The table was turned, and McGovern made a plea for Richard Nixon to debate him, but of course President Nixon was running 30 points ahead in the polls. So it was only in '76, which inaugurated really the modern era, when Gerald Ford challenged Jimmy Carter to a debate in his acceptance speech in Kansas City, and thus we've had presidential debates have become de rigueur for every 4 years now. But there's always contretemps, there's always backroom negotiation, but usually it's the incumbent who's running ahead of the challenger, or the person who's well ahead of the challenger who doesn't want to debate. This may be the first time in history where the man who's running behind his challenger is refusing to debate.
I don't want to put words in our mouths. That's why I'm going to say that this was said in New York Magazine under the article, "Will Donald Trump Skip the Debate with Hillary Clinton?" And the one line that stood right out: it would be fairly stupid for a candidate who trails to skip the only scheduled high-profile campaign events left. Okay, I get that, and we're not going to call Donald Trump stupid, but we are going to say at this point that isn't it fair to say that he's already shown that he gets all the publicity that he needs? Does he really need a debate?
I couldn't agree with you more. And presidential campaigns have turned on debates. The first presidential debate between John Kennedy and Richard Nixon changed the dynamics of that campaign. Nixon was running ahead. After that campaign, John Kennedy was running ahead and never looked back. Gerald Ford, in the second debate with Jimmy Carter, mistakenly said there was no Soviet domination of Poland, and there never will be under a Ford administration. The trouble is with Ford was that there were 5 Soviet divisions in Warsaw in 1976. Ronald Reagan in 1980, the 1 week before the '80 campaign, was falling behind Jimmy Carter. Absent that debate, Jimmy Carter's pollster, Pat Caddell, told me that Jimmy Carter would have been reelected had he not debated Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan besting President Carter in that now famous and most watched debate in American history. So for Trump to not want to debate, it's just another self-inflicted wound. It's inexplicable.
All right, let's move on to something else here with the Donald, if you will. His rallying cry that the system is being rigged, and this is going to be a rigged election. It is, of course, as we figured, trickling down to his supporters. Rudy Giuliani said about as much about Hillary Clinton during a Trump rally in North Carolina. Here it is.
She is part of the Washington rigged system that excludes all these good people in Wilmington, North Carolina, and in places like Wilmington, North Carolina.
All right, Craig, this is just between you and I, okay? Nobody else is listening right now. Can't we just say that everybody who's ever been elected dog catcher, all the way up to president, knows that there are rigs, fixes, things going on in the background. This is nothing new. Rudy Giuliani saying it, God bless him. But he knows, like everybody else, there's always some facet of something going on. But actual rigging an election, not likely.
No, not likely. Look, this is the 21st century, and there are so many means of communication to guard and monitor and inspect and otherwise look over the shoulder of elected officials, voting machines, voting tabulations. It is, you might have a situation like hanging chads in Florida, but that was a mistake of machinery, but not of individuals. I think it's a silly charge. It works to its purpose, by making the charge against the establishment.
But that's just it, right there. Does it just not then just taint the entire thing with a little bit of suspicion here? And all you want to do is put that in the back of people's minds and make them think about it.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. But I'm not sure it does any good for the long-term health of the system to claim that, without any basis in fact, to claim that elections are rigged. We have enough doubts about institutions in America. I'm not sure we need to create more doubts about our electoral system.
Please, let's not even go there. A couple of minutes left right here. Third-party candidates. Now, Evan McMullin is in there. Look, he's not going to steal enough votes to become elected president here. But when you look at Evan McMullin and we see Gary Johnson, we see the Green Party in here and these other candidates that are sneaking in, which ones do you see, or which one maybe do you see, as the one that will steal substantive amounts from somebody, and which candidate do you think they might steal from?
Oh, I think there's no doubt about it, Ed, is that Gary Johnson poses the most threat. The Green Party candidate, Jill Stein, is admirable, and she's waging a good campaign. But Hillary has pretty much got the environmental vote locked up. She's made it clear with her discussions and her threats against coal miners and coal producing states, and her devotion to solar and other things like that, that she's going to get all of the Green Party vote. On the other hand, is that there are a group of intellectuals, libertarians, who view Donald Trump with dismay, but they can't bring themselves to vote for. Sorry about that. Can't bring themselves to vote for.
Wait a minute. I don't know. Wait a minute. We have to pay the cat now. It's a union fee that's going on here right now that's happening. And you interrupted everything because I was going to ask what the name of your cat was, the black and white one, because just a couple of moments ago, he or she got in the act. We need to know. We have to notify the union here, Craig.
I know. She's going to have to sign a release, but I don't know if she shouldn't have opposable thumb, so I don't.
The only thing that has us concerned now is knowing that this cat got in front of the lens. Is it possible that he or she does not agree with your commentary? That's the thing we need to know.
Well, it doesn't. It's going to be down to 8 lives.
You know that's not going to happen. By the way, what is the black and white cat's name, just in case?
Well, I call it Blossom.
Okay.
But I won't tell you why I call it Blossom.
No, we're not going here. We are going to go here and remind everybody that the book, once again, is Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan. And we may have just seen the last act for certain cats appearing on Craig Shirley's show from here on out. Craig, thanks a lot, my friend. Take care. We'll talk to you again real soon. Hey, look, we're equal opportunity here. Animals have a vote as well, Remember that. Rock on, true believers. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow night. Good night and good luck.